Hello, everybody. How's everybody doing? Hope you're well. Hope you sit at home, relaxing, get a nice cup of coffee. I just want to talk about an issue that I see that's present in the United States, and which is the country I live in, and it does bother me, and I want to talk about it because I feel like it's very important to address. This video is going to be short, but what I want to talk about is the effects of Zionism and how Jewish infiltration has destroyed this country and what I think we should do about it. Okay, so let me start off by saying this. There is way too much bribery and influence from Jewish politicians that make the American politicians do things that are in the favor of Israel. And my issue with this is we as American people suffer from the collateral damage of it. Let me explain. When you have politicians and a president like we have right now, like Donald Trump, who is it's very obvious that he's bribed out and they have some sort of blackmail on him, as they do all people of a position of authority. We see it when he funds billions of dollars to Israel in their military aid, in their economic system, their infrastructure, you name it, they're booming. What happens is there's no money being funded into our cities, our towns, and we starve as a nation. And we see the effects of this. American soil hasn't touched war in over 100 years. Yet every major city in our country, from New York to Chicago to Memphis, it's an absolute fucking war zone. It's in complete shambles. There are people getting burned alive. There are people getting stabbed. There are people getting raped. You name it, it's happening. And even New York alone, just look up one borough. Brooklyn, Bronx, Manhattan. Type in one borough. Click the news section. Somebody died today, I guarantee you. More. But I'll even put one for the benefit of the doubt. Every day. And the issue with this is, I want to talk also about the voting thing. Well, actually, before I do that, I want to make one more point. Going back to the money problem, we have also more free real estate than we do homeless veterans. And $1 billion of those dollars that Trump funds to Israel can solve that issue overnight. Homeless veterans that fought for this country, homeless veterans that put their life on the line, they're now homeless because all the money's being funded to Israel, not to help them. Billions of dollars. He couldn't even spare $1 billion of that. Now, I want to talk about how the Zionists, how they benefit off war, and while they have these wars going on, how this also affects us. Because when the Jews pump war between other countries like Russia and Ukraine, how Zelensky doesn't give a fuck about the Ukrainian people. It's the same shit with here, but it's in a way different because we have politicians these groups, that when people vote for them, they might sound like they're coming at each other on podiums, and they might sound like they're advocating for certain groups here, like the Republicans and the Democrats. But when people vote for these politicians that in behind closed doors work in favor of the system, you now give them a ticket to go into countries like Syria, like Afghanistan, like Iraq, bomb the fuck out of them. And what happens is you now have a flock of immigrants that don't have a home, and they illegally seep into other countries like France, Germany, which are in complete disarray, and ours. And what happens is they don't assimilate. You get all this shit. You get people getting killed, buildings getting burned down. You name it, it's here. And when people see this, especially the Republicans, they're like, oh, we got an immigration problem. Yeah, you're the reason why. You gave them the ticket to do this. Because these politicians are puppeted. They are puppeted. People like Trump have Netanyahu and Isaac Herzog's hands so far up his ass that they control him, and they pump voting for this industry, this industry prop, this toolbox Trump, plays into their Zionist agenda, because he is blackmailed along with everybody else in that type of position of authority, where he can't step out of line. Hence why his name's on the Epstein list. Hence why Epstein, when interviewed and asked if him and Trump were ever in a room with any girls under the age of 18 before, he pleaded the fifth. It's a telling sign of what's really going on. I want to also say this. The Jew uses a very specific tactic to keep people in America divided on purpose, because with division, you're easier to control. And this is systematic racism. They are pumping and promoting a race war to keep you distracted, so there's no unification. And what they do is, they do it with these Zionist infiltrated groups like the Republicans, and the Democrats, where most Republicans are white people, white nationalists, all sorts of white people, you name it, that are for their own kind. And the Democrats are the majority of minority people, where they want to stick up for their own people. And what happens is, it's designed for you to come at each other, where the whites fight the blacks fight the whites, the Latinos fight the whites, the Latinos fight the blacks, etc., etc. They all fight each other. And what happens is, when you get that, when you're too distracted fighting each other, you don't fight the enemy. They have you fighting over race labels and identity and culture, rather than unifying together and saying, yo, let's get these fucking people out of here. But that's what they do. And people fall for it. And I can't really feel bad anymore, because I've provided so much information in the past on this, and people just don't give a fuck. They still would blame the white man or the black guy or whatever. And it's like, yo, this isn't a right-left issue. This is a serious issue of the Jewish influence here. A serious detrimental issue, a catastrophe that's happening right now. I mean, Epstein's case alone. Epstein, a fucking monster, was knowingly allowed to operate on U.S. territory. Little St. John, the Virgin Islands, is USA territory. He was allowed to operate a child sex trafficking ring. Ghislaine Maxwell was allowed to transport him underage minors. This happened with Trump's knowledge. This happened with American politicians' knowledge, and they did nothing to stop it. There's way too... Every crack and corner of this country has a Steinberg hiding behind it, has a Schwartz infiltrating it. The FBI is completely overrun and polluted by Mossad, and there's been ex-FBI members who have exposed this. They've literally come out and said that Mossad just walks in to FBI field offices and demands classified secret information, and they get it without really any pushback. But if this was like an Australian or a New Zealander, they would tell them to go fuck off, as they should. That's classified information. That's top secret information about our country. But they just give it to them, and this is why they know how to control us so well. They know our country in and out from tactics like this. They use methods like bribery and usury to get what they want. Freedom of speech is also dead, and the mayor of Miami and Miami Beach, he proved that when he sent the FBI, which I was just talking about, which is completely Mossad infested. He sent the FBI to rip people out their homes for spewing hate speech, anti-Semitism online, for criticizing Israel and criticizing the things that I criticize. There is no such thing as hate speech. It's freedom of speech. The speech you don't like, the speech you don't agree with. But when it comes to Israel, that doesn't apply, and it shows the First Amendment is dead, along with the whole Constitution, let's just put it that way. We have become so controlled by the Jew, and I want to say something else too, because that's just in this country. What they're doing in Palestine, what the Jew Zelensky's doing to Ukraine, his own people, that's a whole nother story. And I want to show you guys something. If you want to know the nature of these people and what they do and the devastation they cause and how they thrive off chaos to control people, I suggest you read this book. Made by August Rahling. He was a very smart man that saw the Jewish tactics, the tactics that are being practiced in our country, the tactics that are being used against us to control us, to get what they want, to benefit them at our expense. The same tactics that they use in Palestine to the Palestinian people, the same tactics that they use in Ukraine, and they're using it here. And if you really want to go even deeper, you can read the Talmud, how they view you, a Gentile, which is a non-Jew, as a cattle, as a goyim, as a servant to them. Jeffrey Epstein literally, his emails that were revealed, literally he writes, I want WASP girls on this island. Only WASP girls, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant girls, goyim girls, that girls he views as disposal, that he can just do whatever he wants with. That's why he was able to do what he did in his community, because they weren't Jewish girls. They had no problem with it. It angers me because I love the country. I love America. But I am so ashamed of what it's become. I am so ashamed of how they've allowed Israel to have so much influence over them. And listen, look, there's so many Mossad operations here. You can't even trust the government anymore. The government's so far polluted and gone. It has to go. There's no politician or political ideology or campaign that's going to solve this dilemma. It's too far gone. And when shit starts hitting the fan, mark my words, Israel, because they've blackmailed Trump so bad. This is the biggest blackmail operation in history of mankind. Because Trump's so blackmailed, he's not going to pose any pushback towards them. He's going to give them the green ticket. He's going to give them what they want, which is America to go to war with Iran. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen soon. And when that happens, World War III is going to unfortunately start, and times are going to show who's really in charge and what's going on. But yeah, once again, you want to know these people, read this book. I highly suggest it. You can JR Books Online, banned book series. You can find it there. Get a good look.